Today, let's get everyone. BlackRock, I have a few things to share with you all. They are extremely cunning people that you should never put your trust in. As you can see, the US government and Wall Street titans like BlackRock, who have been controlling and manipulating the economy for years, are currently engaged in a fierce war. Donald Trump and his administration are the ones directly threatening them. In fact, they are engaged in a real-time battle, and for that reason, the markets are going completely crazy. However, there are also a number of other odd things occurring in the markets that few people would have predicted given the current situation. And let me begin by simply discussing the enormous volatility of XRP, shall we? It's been up, down, left, right, and center, really. As you can see, we did manage to sell after spotting a really great top for XRP right here. Way below, we did purchase the dip several times. I am therefore quite content with our current situation. In the trading group Crypto Crusaders, we're doing incredibly well. We're making all the money there, so we have to give them credit. Later, more on that. Let's discuss what's actually happening. Most recently, we have learned about Trump's leading economic priorities. And in today's society, knowing this is arguably the most crucial thing to do in order to make money. President Trump has been saying for weeks that there will be no tariff delays, despite the fact that equities have increased by more than $12 trillion. 12 hours later, the 90-day tariff delay was put into effect after the bond market crashed. Keep an eye on bonds and bonds. The yield on the 10-year note was declining steadily before the reciprocal tariffs on April 2nd. This might be as a result of declining rates. Yes, the real focus here is on rates declining. However, the yield on the 10-year note increased by plus 65 basis points to 4.5% as a basis trade unwound as a result of volatility. Lower interest rates are one of President Trump's main aims, as he has stated. Trump urged Fed Chair Powell to lower interest rates even on April 4th. Interest rates and oil costs were declining as a result of the trade war, so that Trump could keep applying pressure. And Trump will continue to do this. But on April 7th, when stocks started to decline and interest rates started to soar, something changed. As can be seen below, the difference between the yield on the 10-year note and the S&P 500 is truly extraordinary. In fact, we have never seen anything like it. Compared to equities, bonds are collapsing even more quickly, despite being regarded as safe havens. The first headline on a 90-day tariff moratorium then surfaced on April 7th at 10:15 Eastern. Although it is now evident that this was not fake news, the White House went ahead and labeled it as such. As the 10-year yield rose, Trump was probably talking to advisors about this 90-day delay. What's going on here? Crazy times. The 90-day tariff pause was subsequently announced on April 2nd, days later. Trump then essentially affirmed that the cause was the bond market. I was keeping an eye on the bond market. It's really challenging. It's gorgeous if you look at it right now. This is an interest rate, he explained. What Trump says here is what I want to present you, everyone. It is undoubtedly a landmark event in both American and global history. It's stunning, so stunning, perhaps even the finest. I adore Trump guy. His speech is hilarious. At the end of the video, we can see more precisely how folks were feeling a little nauseous last night. He was referring to the unwinding of the basis trade as described in the paragraph above, but Trump was aware that if he did not step in, the 800 billion basis transaction would cause the 10-year to drop to 5%. He had no choice except to halt these tariffs for this reason. There was nothing he could do. Yes, things would have been absolutely wild if he hadn't done it. The collapse of the basis trade subsequently caused safe haven demand to swiftly shift back into gold, as we can see. And that's where we also witnessed a strong recovery in the stock and cryptocurrency markets. That's basically what we were trading in my Crypto Crusaders group, if you guys remember. Looking back, you can see that we were purchasing these steps because we were certain that this would basically be the case. Here is where it ended, and we did sell right here after hitting a high of about 208. As you can see, we managed to catch it quite well, and naturally there was a lot more negative price movement following that. There was another rally where we briefly rose above where we sold, but that's all right. Today we can see that we're at 193, and I will definitely be looking to buy some more dips soon. I want to make sure that you guys don't miss that, so please click the link below to visit Levi Crypto Crusaders. Guys, we still have a lot more to cover in today's video. A lot of strange things are happening. In essence, we are witnessing the market reaching a realization. Globally, 10% baseline tariffs are applied to all nations, correct? That continues to this day. Car imports into the U.S. are still subject to 25% taxes. 25% tariffs on aluminum and steel, correct? 25% taxes on Mexican and Canadian imports. There are 145 tariffs on Chinese goods and none of them are being suspended. These duties are not being halted at the moment, but other levies are. These will go into effect, and this list does not include all of the retaliatory tariffs that the U.S. has been subjected to. Keep in mind that the European Union, Canada, and Mexico, all of them have imposed retaliatory tariffs on the United States. For all of you back home, this will therefore create a very exciting environment. I believe that if all of these things stay the same, there will be certain unchanging facts regardless of where you are in the globe. It is true that things can shift suddenly, as we have witnessed with Trump. I create videos every single day for that reason. Nevertheless, this is the situation as of right now, isn't it? Now other unions and nations negotiating free trade agreements outside of the U.S. is the most significant development that will likely start to take place here, and will likely have a significant impact on the U.S., isn't it? One of Donald Trump's top priorities is to prioritize America and to keep it as the world's leading superpower. Donald Trump might therefore modify his position somewhat to make room for it if anything poses a threat to it. He paused tariffs for that exact reason, isn't that right? The 90-day holdup. As we discussed previously, that is the reason he did it. However, the European Union and the United Arab Emirates are now beginning to make some intriguing movements in this area. In essence, they are consenting to begin free trade talks, correct? Consequently, Trump will examine this and find it objectionable. He would interpret this as an attempt by the UAE and the European Union to develop a new trade agreement in which they may disregard the US and possibly eventually try to displace it. Now, how Trump reacts to this will determine whether or not it is feasible and whether or not it actually occurs. Once the Trump administration realizes this, you can bet your bottom dollar that they will ask, well, what are we going to do about this? What will be our reaction to this? And they are currently considering a plan. I promise you that. You can also see that contrary to what many people had anticipated, the United States has actually made significant progress in reducing inflation. Officially, U.S. inflation has dropped to 2.4%, which is significantly less than anticipated. We anticipated 2.6 and 2.7. Anything that is 0.3 or 0.2 below estimates is a very positive indication. It is entirely up to you now whether or not you think these metrics are accurate. However, if these measurements are accurate, it basically means that America is doing well and that they are headed in the right direction. Additionally, rate cuts will take place, which is exactly what Trump wants to happen in order to secure America's economic future. Amazon is now stating that customers should anticipate price increases in the future. Among the biggest corporations in America is Amazon. We are all aware of this. Naturally, they are a retail behemoth that sells to customers worldwide. Additionally, it seems natural that Amazon's pricing will rise in tandem with an increase in the cost of items. In essence, they are a collection of several vendors selling their products on a single platform, and prices will need to increase because it will now be more costly for these individuals to enter some marketplaces. Therefore, even if inflation may be declining at the moment, the Renaissance is basically stating that if we want to continue turning a profit, we will need to raise our pricing. Additionally, we can observe that BlackRock is selling a ridiculously high volume of cryptocurrencies around this time. It's crazy. Retail bought that dip, but 250